Good afternoon and welcome back to the West Ham Network. This is your Hammers Headlines in association with the guys over at Knees Up Mother Brown, KUMB.com. You can see it there. Go and check them out. Fantastic channel forum and, of course, a great website. Fans from all over the world having good, friendly debates. So get yourself involved with them. This is your David Moyes press conference. Leeds United versus West Ham. Debrief. This is where I go through the David Moyes press conference and give you some of the information that comes out of that. I then go a little bit further into it when it comes into the preview. So without further ado, let me jump straight into the press conference for you today. And it was David Moyes was first and foremost always asked about injury news. So let me get straight into what he said on the injury news today. He said Mick, as in Antonio, has had a bit of illness, which was a lot of people have had around the country. And I know that for sure because I've had it and most of my family have had it and I still have it as well. But hopefully he's okay. Kurt is doing okay, but he's not available for this game. So that's a massive, massive disappointment because we did think that he would have been available and we were led to believe that it was the virus is what kept him out of the game against Brentford. So maybe he is just not fighting fit and ready to rock and roll because it has knocked me for 6. So hopefully it may have knocked some of these players for 6 as well. Now, Naif Aguerd is getting himself back ready and is under serious consideration for this game. He picked up a virus and an injury at the World Cup, but he's back at training and building himself up. He's really important. He's a new player that we've got to introduce to the Premier League. So that is a positive sign for me. It looks likely that Naif Aguerd will be available and probably start the game against Leeds. Now, that's going to be a massive boost for West Ham because not only are we getting what we would call one of our flagship signings over the summer, but we're getting a quality defender that we lacked so much against the game against Brentford. I've got a lot of credits and a lot of dues for Craig Dawson, who I thought was fantastic in our back line against Brentford, like the better player from all of them in the back line. But we lacked that pace, and that's what Aguerd brings to the team. He brings pace. Hopefully he brings a little bit more calmness. He reads the game really well. He can hold on to the ball really well, and he can drive with the ball at his feet. So that's something we definitely lack from the back line. What I find really interesting would be is if Moyes would change it in regards to the goalkeeper. It's really interesting because there's been a couple of comments about Fabianski recently, and I just wonder, is it too much of a change to bring Aguerd in and change it with Areola as well in the back line? I would hope come the next game that Zuma would be fit and we could then, for the first time, play Zuma and Aguerd in the back line with our starting centre-halves, but we will have to wait and see as time goes on. But leave your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on the injury news. With that kind of comment about Michail Antonio as well, does that concern you moving forward with regards to Michail Antonio? Would he start? Because he was speaking about Scamacca. He says we can and we will get more out of him, but it takes some players time to settle into the Premier League. He's a young centre-forward coming from Italy. We like him a lot and he's got a lot of good attributes. He's had injuries and he's had a bit and was a bit behind us. So it might have taken some time for him to get used to it. I remember the last 2 years, everyone was saying we needed backup to Mick. We had a list of strikers and a lot of the ones you're on about are other clubs other than Haaland. There's a lot that haven't quite hit the heights that have just that have been expected. We can all think of Harry Kane, Jesus, but there's a lot of players coming in and they need time to settle. And I do, listen, I done the ratings for the game against Brentford and I gave Scamacca a really low score. I thought his hold-up play was really well, but he really lacked that urgency to get into the box and try and score a goal, apart from that one big power shot near the end of the game. And I think that is what he will bring to the game. It just depends on what, again, we were lacking that creativity, that penetration of getting the ball to him. And I think hopefully now if Moyes is going to stick with this kind of Rice and Paqueta thing, which hopefully he does, then we'll start to see that penetration of the ball through to players like Scamacca and the creativity goes that way. If any of you haven't already, go and check out the interview that Stuart Pearce did with TalkSport. And he talks about, our goals conceded isn't as bad if you look at the comparison to the Premier League. It's a goal scored, 13 goals we've scored in the Premier League, and that's just not good considering we've got creativity in an abundance with the players that we've got in our ranks. Scamacca, Antonio, Benrahma, Fornals, Bowen, you name it, just to name a few players that we need to be getting onto the score sheet. And if they can come good, then we can come good. That's what we need. We need goals, and that's the definitely like the vital part of our season to get off the to get our balls to get the season on a go and rolling. And he said at this point of the season, he was asked about this point of the season, he said the way it's worked out, we're not even halfway through the season yet. We have to buck up, play better, and find a way of winning games, which is key. I think we've got a better team now than we've had, so it's a case of showing it. And I do believe that. I know a lot of fans have given up hope on it, but I do believe that if we can bring and bed these players in, and they have to bed in now. They need to show some fight, determination, some grit, and ability, skill set, you name it. Everything needs to be firing on all cylinders to be able to go to Ellen Road and show up and turn up and do a job. And we need to do a job, and we need to hope players like Scamacca, Paqueta, the new players can step up. Agard will help, but that doesn't mean that things are going to go our own way. We have seen, Leeds may be struggling, but we know Leeds on their day can do a job, but equally so can West Ham. And we may as well start 2023 off better than how we finished off 2022. So fingers crossed. And I agree with that kind of sentiment a little bit. We're not at the halfway point. We're very close to it, but things do need to start changing 100,000,000% at West Ham. He was then asked about Declan Rice, because Declan Rice has been criticised a lot recently, by some of the guys that are part of West Ham Network, some people in the mainstream media saying that he's been throwing his hands up, look like he's sulking. And what he said was, people can have their opinions, but Declan played really well in midweek, and he has done for nearly all the time I've been here. He's tried to drive us on and did everything he could in midweek. And I think there is a certain extent that there's a transition. It's just maybe the fact that West Ham fans are getting used to the transitional period of having a different type of captain in charge. He feels the pain and he shows the pain, and maybe we're not used to seeing that pain being shown. But if we think back to occasions when Mark Noble was frustrated, it did come out on the park as well. So I think, listen, he's the captain. He's one of the best players borderline in the world. So it's a pleasure to have him. It doesn't mean that he can do what he wants, and I don't think he does do what he wants. It's just vital we keep getting the best out of him, and hopefully him and Paqueta can hit the ground running again from the Leeds game moving forward. Then he was asked about Jesse Marsh, and what I was interested about this one is the fact that he references the Red Bull model, because obviously Jesse Marsh was with the Red Bull team. He says, if you understand the Red Bull model, you understand Jesse Marsh. He's done it very well. He's implicated it very well. It's something that might take a bit of time. And I think that's him referencing. And it's interesting because obviously when David Moyes came back, he referenced West Ham going down the Red Bull model. But then when you look at our back line against Brentford, you don't see the Red Bull model, because you see 4 or 5 players, all 30 plus, and lacking, ability to pace. That was the biggest issue there, and it was fine margins. We were all over Brentford until they scored that goal. They kind of hit a sucker punch to us as well. So there are fine margins. I get that. I get it. So it's just interesting to see if we can change those fine margins into making sure we get bang in the goals. And fair play to Jesse Marsh. He's came in and with the American mindset, and people would be like, this is not going to work in the Premier League, and he's doing a job. He's doing a job. So you've got to give him credit where credit's due as well, and that's what David Moyes has done with regards to that. Now, he was asked about the importance of this game. He says you get 3 points for it, the same as every other game, but the importance of it is really big. We know that it's very big, but so were our last few games, and they were, and I said it, Arsenal, Brentford, Leeds, these were the 3 defining games for me. Now, if I would... It depends on how he sets up. Stuart Pearce said it, like he does sit on the side of caution more than anything. His mindset will be ensure Leeds don't win. And I think that pisses West Ham fans off a lot in terms of, well, why do you not go into the game going West Ham should win? But he says he does err on the side of caution. He is definitely that style of manager. So, but it would be huge if we could turn up to Leeds and get the 3 points. Huge, massive. So keep your comments coming in. Let me know your thoughts. Last but not least, there's two more slides to go, and he was asked about his position again. Was there any doubt about his position? He said, the board have been right behind me, which is really good. They've been very supportive and backing me. I think West Ham supporters have been incredible supportive. They've seen what's gone on here the last 3 years, and they're desperate for us to do well. And we are. And our expectation has gone up with our climb of form and performance, and because our expectations have gone up, and because the players aren't performing on the park, it has a negative impact to us as fans, and you then start to see some of the fan base drift away and go, right, bang, we need to change it, we need to go. But I think I'm worried about the change because I don't see anyone else out there right now realistically who could come in and do the job that we need them to do. So once bitten, twice, the famous saying, and I think I'm massively concerned about that. And then the last comment was on Mark Noble, obviously returning to the club now in a different role. And he said, it's great to have him back in the building. He's someone who's given his all to this club, but he's now training in a new job to be our sporting director. And I think that's great to have Mr. Mark Noble back. There's no ifs and buts about it. Having him in and around the club would and will be huge for everyone there. People like Declan Rice, he'll be talking to, he will speak between the manager and the players and the owners. He'll kind of connect everyone, and he'll do that role behind the scenes, which is what we've probably lacked a little bit of as well, especially when you lose the likes of Stuart Pearce, Alan Irvine, etc., you name it. So when you bring someone or like them back in, you get him to put their arm around all the players and all the team and all the setup and all that, and maybe communicate with the fans as well. And fingers crossed we can get ourselves going from the Leeds game. 2023 is huge for West Ham. We're on the 3rd of January, and tomorrow's the 4th of January. We need to get the 3 points over the board. Fingers crossed we can. Like I said, if you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button, give the channel a good supporting hand. Please hit the thumbs up, leave your comments, give us your honest feedback as well. If you're new around here, then you can also go and click the join option to become a member. Then go and check out our good friends, our partners, kumb.com, kneesupmotherbrown.com. That would be very helpful as well. We'll be back with a preview, you name it. We've got everything going on. Alf did a show earlier on about how much time does David Moyes have. Is the race against the clock on? We'll have a preview. We'll have a match day live coming up. You name it. All the match day content. DJ Russie Bye will be back very soon. Don't you worry. We'll be getting fed up of seeing my face every 2 minutes. Stay safe. And of course, keep supporting West Ham. Keep the faith. Come on, you Irons.